Leave it to China to know more about time travel than the Japanese.
Hey. Hey guys, welcome to Between Nerds Podcast. My name is Drew Philip Elias. That is Aldo Mendez over at the end of the table. And here, between us, good friend of the podcast, longtime supporter, advocate...
Of the China Communist Republic.
Of the Chinese Communist Republic and of Between Nerds Podcast. Thomas is the producer, voice, the genius behind our intro music, both of them. And we're lucky enough to have him today.
Absolutely, or have them at all. You know, we wouldn't have songs without you. So we were just talking about getting a new intro going on. So
it really means a lot to me. You know, like
no,
I'm glad you guys like the music.
No, it does, bro. Like it's when we started the podcast. You know, animes have intros, animes have outros, and now we have you for that.
Exactly. This is episode 143. Today we're talking about the Chinese animation Link Click. Stay tuned for the end of the episode to listen to our NerdDown and our discussion of Guardians of the Galaxy. We're gonna finally announce the winner of our April giveaway.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Sorry about that one. We're finally going to get to it. And we're going to be reading some user-generated comments. We're going to be talking about the next upcoming weeks. If you guys are interested, stay tuned until the end of the episode. Mm-hmm. But I guess we can just get into it. I don't know. Link Click, it's interesting because I feel like I've seen nothing like it, but it's also like everything I've ever watched ever.
God damn. I feel like, yeah, it's a lot of fucking things. And sorry for cursing there, but yeah, it's been a lot of things. I was surprised at the beginning when they wanted to introduce gag animation.
Yeah. And
they only did it that one time.
It felt very
Maybe
Japanese.
Second time, yeah. They're like, oh, look at us, we're doing something anime like.
Right.
But then like the anime, it's this whole who's the guy that made the movies with the twist, M. Night Shyamalan?
Yeah.
Like, it turns into M. Night Shyamalan if he was really good.
Yeah, a little bit. So Link Click, basically, for you, Thomas, and for our listeners, you're mirroring our audience right now, right? So, like, Link Click isn't the most popular anime ever, but it's rated really high. And a reason for that is because, like, it's mature, but it's not tacky. It's not gory without being untasteful. It's time travel. So think of Steins Gate a little bit.
I never watched Steins Gate.
You never watched Steins Gate?
Steins Gate is good, bro.
Steins Gate's probably one of the greatest anime ever created. But Link Click is these two guys that live inside of a photo development shop. Their name, I'm gonna totally butcher their names because, like, number one, I don't know Mandarin Chinese, and number two, it's a language I'm just not familiar with.
Go ahead.
So, like, there's this guy with black hair that you see on the poster. His name is Cheng Shi Xiao, and then the second guy with the one with the white hair is Lu Huang.
Lu Huang, okay.
So they both have different time travel powers. It's sci-fi, but they don't really explain why it happens. It's just kind of like episode 1, they just have these powers and they take odd jobs to go into people's, like, past and try to clean stuff up.
And the plot at the beginning, like you said, Drew, I like that you pointed out they're adults.
Yeah.
Because the plot at the beginning, because they're not high school children,
they can't make rent.
It doesn't go off the rails, right? So, like, you know, a recent high school graduate can graduate from high school and it'll be party all the time, where a 30-year-old has to, like, oh shit, I need rent. I
think they're like early 20s.
No, I know, but like same struggles, not struggles, but same responsibilities, I would say.
Right.
You know, because it doesn't seem like off the chain, like something like, have you watched K-On?
I love K-On.
You know what I'm saying?
Because that's your life, right?
Basically, yeah.
Exactly. So it doesn't feel like something like, oh, we're just gonna blow it off. No, like, these people are literally mob psycho style taking care of people around the neighborhood.
Right. That's exactly what it is. Because it's odd jobs. Like, it's just like, it's like, hey, can you go into my past and find, like, a ramen recipe for my best friend / business partner? It's something like, I ruined the day of my last high school basketball game. Can you go back and just, like, clean it up real quick?
So do people know they have these powers, or it's just like they come out and, like,
They don't. That's also kind of like a running gag / joke. So like they call the landlord, I was gonna say the female protagonist, but yeah. Like there's this girl that actually owns like the photo development shop, and her name is Xiaoling.
Xiaoling, okay, good.
So
okay, good.
And Xiaoling, one of my favorite character designs I've seen in a minute.
Honestly,
just throwing that out there. But like again, like they're adults, so she'll walk into the photo shop and she'll be like, "Hey, you guys need to make fucking rent. Take this job."
What are you doing, lazy asses?
And she's like the only one that knows that they have these powers, and she never sees it until the very end.
Correct.
So everyone else is calling Xiaoling like a witch. They're calling her like an enchantress because it's just like nobody has any idea what's actually happening. They don't even know about the two guys.
And one of my points that I wanted to make was that, have you ever seen Devil Crybaby? No? Devil Crybaby.
Devilman Crybaby.
Devilman Crybaby has a good premise, but like awful execution for me.
Just so we're clear, yeah. Just so we're clear, I think it's like top 20. But
me.
like Aldo hates Devilman Crybaby
Because like they try to make so much like fan porno service to like the audience that it just loses what it needs. And here on Link Click, we see two friends just like in Devilman Crybaby that are opposites to each other almost, that are trying to fight for the same purpose. But like in Devilman,
it's called a foil.
Yeah, a foil, but not really a foil because they just have like this slight difference between their powers.
I'd say they were narrative foils, besides just the powers.
Maybe,
and the character design. They have completely opposite personalities.
Okay, cool. Okay, yes, I'll agree. A foil, but
I won an argument. You're a witness.
But then the way they go about each situation, they help each other, and it's more like structure than Devilman Crybaby when I can't remember that white hair's character in that, but like he's just trying to exploit the black hair one.
He was also a metaphor for Lucifer, just so we're clear.
Yes, but like it feels like the same thing for me, but well better executed. It just feels like, and then again, the whole. I know it doesn't present itself as being like a man like relationship. But, like, as being an anime, like, watcher, like, you almost expect it and it doesn't happen. That's kind of off-putting, too.
Okay, so here's some trauma from my childhood, right? So, I used to go to... My parents used to send me to, like, a lot of Bible studies. And the way, like Baptist and, like, Methodist, like, teachings teach the Bible is that, like... God and like Lucifer, Satan, like loved each other like deeply, but like in like a respectful kind of way. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what you're trying to describe, and that's also the plot to Devilman Crybaby. Is just kind of like hitting you in the face with a Bible, but it's like very Japanese, so it's kind of like they're not taking it too seriously because it's not their main form religion. I guess the point you're trying to make here is that like we kind of don't have an evil antagonist. And the thing about Devilman Crybaby that Aldo hated is that it's literally about people turning into devils for like 12 episodes. And like, but the devils will like have tits and like get into the air and like
harass people.
Like they'll assault each other. And like, it's this very like conservative Christian, like, if you feel lustful, then that's a sin, and that's a sign of that you're tied to a devil, and then that means that you're on the wrong side of this war right now.
And then they become devils, or what? Or
yeah, and then they become devils. That's when you end up knowing that, like, hey, Aldo's acting pretty sussy right now. He was feeling up Thomas during the recording. I don't know what happened. He might be infected with the devil. I don't know, guys.
Yes.
Okay, so what I want to know is. So they don't know they have the power, or the people don't know they have the powers.
Right.
They just walk into the printing station and they're like, "Hey, I have this problem." We're like,
right? They'll be like, "Miss Ling, like, I
know there's a witch here," because everybody comes in with the same statement. Everybody comes in like, "I know there's a witch here that can see pictures beyond their meaning," or some shit like that, you know?
Oh, and that's the basis of the time travel power is that
Memento.
It's about pictures.
It's memento.
It's the plot. So like they bring in a picture. And then, so, Cheng Shishao, the one with the black hair, he can go into the past and take control of the person that took the picture for 12 hours afterwards. Lu Huang can like he knows like the complete like plot to that timeline over like a 24-hour span.
So he's just commentating on like, so this guy possesses Thomas, who took a picture in 1999,
right?
And he doesn't know what's going on. So the white hair dude, Lou, he's like, okay, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to make sure you trip on this rock, you need to make sure you eat this sandwich, you need to make sure you eat this, so you don't change that much of the timeline. And like right here, the time traveling aspect of this anime, it's very like crisp.
And that's why I like it, because like Steins Gate's amazing. Like it's 10 out of 10, don't get me wrong, but like the point of Steins Gate is that they try to break it down scientifically. The point of Link Click is that like don't worry about it. Like for some reason, Lou's just on a couch and he just knows every plot beat. And it's just when when Chang goes into the past, the audience is now viewing the past through Chang's point of view, because Lou's not telling him everything because he doesn't want him to mess it up. So Chang's just like, okay, what do I do next? Am I going to mess up the timeline if I do this, if I do that? He's like, don't worry about it. Like I can't tell you anything. And it's cool because it's like
it's sealed tight.
But it feels like you're watching a sitcom almost. You know what I mean? Like, not a lot of people have watched How I Met Your Mother front to back. But how many people have watched reruns of How I Met Your Mother on basic cable when you were in like middle school and high school, right? Like everybody. So you just kind of know loosely like what the plot is, where it is. That's what it's like when Link Click starts. It's like you've been watching it the whole time.
And then the beginning as well of this anime, bro. It's they don't tell you anything. Like they don't tell you what they're doing. They don't tell you the differences, and they never tell you throughout the anime, but you just notice it, right? And when you're through the first episode, we're protecting a who goes to hire them? The dad?
It wasn't Emma?
It wasn't Emma.
No. It was an investor. So right. a stock trader investor person goes to Chowling and is like, hey, I think the president of this one company is like doctoring the financial records, the accounting files, and he's making his company seem like it's doing better than it actually is, which is like fraud, and that's what they were trying to prove.
Yeah.
So that's what. So I started thinking of like the meme that came out of Avengers Endgame when it was just like time heist. So I'm like, that's the anime. Like we're just doing time heist now, and that's what the first episode is. So Chang goes into Emma's body,
who is an accountant.
She's an intern. No, she's a personal assistant for the president of this company that they're investigating.
But she has like a finance like major or something, because she's going through the books, right? That's what we know.
She's the only one besides the president that knows that shit's suspicious.
The books are being cooked. Yeah. So he goes into her body, into Emma's body, and she's getting harassed by the boss. But then because Shang in the head of Emma doesn't know what's needs to happen, then Lou is telling him, is like, hey, the boss is coming over, you're working late, the boss is coming over to like invite you to the office, harass you, but like all that needs to happen, as it doesn't matter how mad you are that this is happening to a young girl.
So it's a really weird dynamic where it's just like he's inside of like a 19, 20-year-old's body, and he's just like, I'm gonna hit him. He's gonna try to kiss me. I'm gonna hit him.
I can't even wrap my brain around that. So like she goes and gets them, and then he's in their body, so like...
Right! So, like, she's like, here, boss, here are those files that I've been working on that you asked for. And he's just like, oh, Emma. And it's just like, yeah, you're such a good girl, and pushes her up against the wall. And then you just see Chang just, like, talking to Lou, and he's like, I'm gonna fucking stick him. Tell me not to.
So he has full control over her at that
point?
When he takes over?
Probably the most interesting part of that dynamic, though, is that he feels, like, their emotions and their memories. So, like... He feels like Emma's disgust, because like he feels that Emma's body doesn't want anything to do with this old man. So that's an interesting dynamic later too, when like he goes into the body of like a teenager and he meets like their crush. He's like, dude, I don't know what's going on, but this guy's body is freaking out right now.
Got mad boner. But yeah, and the same thing, like he also sees like Emma's memories, like, oh, I worked so hard to get to this spot, like my parents like sacrificed a lot to put me through school and stuff like that.
Like she's like a country bumpkin, you know. Her just working in a city is like a big deal.
Exactly. She's just like being harassed by her like nasty boss, and like as he's like coming to like steal a kiss, and not in the romantic way.
Oh yeah.
Like she gets a call, and she's like, I'm sorry, I need to get this. Blah 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 blah. I don't know even how to take it from here.
Well, the first episode is probably one of the most interesting episodes because, like, you see them. The whole point is they're trying to get the financial records, right? And then they're trying to leak them on the internet into the future because they're basically only like a week or two in the past at this point. Like, it's not like real time heisty stuff where it's like, I'm gonna go back 30 years and like place bets, not even like that, but like place bets on like all the like the plot to Back to the Future 2.
The Almanac.
I mean? Yeah, where he takes the Almanac from Back to the Future 2 and he's just like, now I can just make billions of dollars if I just like place bets on all these sports games.
So like they're just responsible because like that's what the plot says, or like
so this is the thing with me with the whole time traveling thing. Like in every single time traveling movie, it's like don't change a motherfucking thing. Butterfly Effect, Ashton Kutcher, don't change a motherfucking thing because something's gonna fucking happen. But like in this universe, in this world, they are able to make tweaks as long as it doesn't alter the entire timeline.
That's right. So Lou starts talking about this thing called nodes. There are nodes in history that are like pinnacle points that like it doesn't matter what you change before it. Like so one of the plot lines is that there's a major earthquake, right? So like it's just like they go back to this guy's past and it's just like, oh, I want you to confess to my crush. I want you to tell my best friend that like we're gonna go play basketball together forever. I want you to tell my mom that we're gonna move out of this podunk town. But then like You see Chang being like, oh, I can't do this. It's going to change the timeline. And Lou's just like, dude, I promise it's not going to matter. Because everyone dies because there's an earthquake. Mm-hmm. So that's like what the node means.
Do they ever say why? Like, other than changing the timeline, do they say like, you can't do this because you're going to like destroy the time-space continuum? Or like... Well,
that topic stretches throughout the entire season.
Because it puts people's lives in jeopardy.
Yeah. So from the story of the girl that's getting harassed at work, so they complete the mission, quote unquote, but when Chang comes back to the present later on, there's a news article that young girl.
Well, the only thing he flubbed a little bit, or flubbed, like he didn't mess it up, but he went outside of the boundaries of what Lou was telling him, was that he texted Emma's mom. And he was like, hey, come to the city. I miss you. Because Emma's whole timeline, which is what I thought the plot was going to be for the rest of the anime, was that they're going to go on these micro adventures and realize the struggle of like everyday people. So Emma's thing is she works late hours. She's leaving work at like, midnight. Her boss is harassing her anyways. She's not making enough money and she's only eating fast food. So her parents feel bad. So they're dropping off food and like they come visit her in the city. So Chang, the only thing he ad-libs a little bit is that he, right before he leaves, he'll text like Emma's mom and be like, hey, come to the city. I miss you. Let's hang out. This and that. But what Aldo's saying is that like the very last scene to the very last episode is that because Chang did that, they come to the city, they go to, Emma drops them off at the train. And then this guy in a hoodie like follows her outside of the train station. And then when he jumps back to the present, we see like a news reporting that she died. That she was like that. Yeah. They think it's a suicide from like her being harassed at work and the company she was working at going under because they were able to like leak all the financial information. But we as an audience know that she was probably murdered.
Mm-hmm. And that's just the first episode. So, but then go ahead.
So. They've done this before the first episode, right?
That's what the audience is. This has been a business that's been going on for the whole
There's no exposition, which is cool. It's super cool that there's no exposition.
Absolutely.
But that does leave a lot of questions.
Yeah.
and they kind of touch back on how they kind of got started, but not really. Like it's just like simple like exposition towards the end. But yeah, so now as an audience from the first episode, like the beginning of the second episode, it's a different case, or you're like, okay, this is a noir thing. Yeah. It's a private investigator thing. It's a
time heist.
No. What's the Marvel show that we liked? Jessica Jones.
Oh yeah.
Jessica Jones.
Did you watch Jessica Jones?
Oh, I did not.
No.
So sorry.
Jessica Jones is a PI, right? And like she goes case to case. So
But she's super strong.
So once the second episode starts with a different story, it just it just throws the audience for a loop because they don't know what's coming, kinda. But then towards the end, we roll back to the first episode.
Right, but like the second episode was the one you liked most, right? Because it's like it's about girl life. It's two grown women that grew up each other. They're business partners. They love each other to some extent.
That's not the episode that I like the most.
No,
but I do like the lesbian love.
Okay.
Yeah, I do like the lesbian love because the second episode is about two friends who they both kind of got lost in what they wanted from this ramen adventure, right? This ramen business. One of the ladies gets so involved with the business that we gotta franchise, we gotta sell the thing.
Her name's Yugia,
and then her counterpart, her partner, who I think is her partner because they've been together since college,
Lin Jen.
She's like, you know what, dude? I just wanted to cook ramen for you. Like, that's all I wanted to do. It's like, I don't... You know what I'm saying? Like, and then she's like, I'm out. It's like, you have distanced yourself from me so much. You just care about all this and all that. And she's like, you know what? I'm out.
Well, I think it's apt that you use the word partner because, like, they're strictly business partners. But I think the point you're trying to make is that, like, they're partners. You know what I mean? They're romantic partners.
Mm-hmm. I'd watch that.
And they have and you could probably watch episode 2 to episode 7 maybe like independently, and you would get
like
the
1
story.
through 7. Yeah,
because it's something like Violet Evergarden. Have you ever watched Violet Evergarden? It's like Violet Evergarden, brother. Violet Evergarden is like so juicy because every episode is like.
Hold on. So Violet Evergarden is like this make-believe post-World War II Europe where like people have automail essentially, where this girl that was a victim from the war and has like 2 automail arms essentially, she becomes what's called an auto memory doll, which is like when the postal service was privatized and when people didn't know how to read and write. Like, you would hire somebody to write a letter to your loved one. You know what I mean?
So you're an illiterate farmer, and you're like, oh, my son is out there in war or something. It's like, can you write something for me so I can send it for him? He's like, what do you feel about your son? And they'll tell him, and then they'll be like, just cooking on the typewriter.
Right. So every episode of Violet Evergarden is her living these sad stories of people, like, just having these shit lives. And I guess that's kind of the same point, because these are micro adventures of people, like... Because the point to episode 2 Secret Recipe is that like the secret recipe didn't matter. Like if you had like actually paid attention to her partner, to her this person that the episode subtly wants you to understand is like the love of her life. If she had understood her as a person and listened to everything she said, she would have known the secret recipe the entire time. She would have never hired these guys because like. The whole episode, it's kind of funny because it's just Chang just like eating ramen and not being able to figure out what the secret recipe is. It's not until like they find a random photo like on her phone that they jump to it and they realize that like, oh shit, like it's just a secret like herb flower.
Is that at the town that they met?
Yeah, at the town that they met, from Yu's hometown when they met in college, like Lin had made Yu a dish of ramen,
and that's
making recipes from her hometown,
and that's where they both got the idea of like having a shop, you know, and like it stretched so much, and like they got so distant from each other. Like the final mission and like the meaning of everything, it was the friends that you make along the way. Yeah. Because at the end, like when the time travelers tell who was it, the blonde one, the character of the blonde one.
So Yu was the mean business owner.
Yeah. So when they come to you, it's like, oh, she went back here. She wasn't, because she. When she went there, she was like, hey, my business partner is trying to screw me over. I need to get the recipe for the ramen so I can like expand. But like at the end of that adventure of episode 2, she's like, oh fuck, like I don't even want the recipe. I just want to be with her And then she goes back to that town, and the episode finishes like, "Hey, welcome home. Like, good thing you made your way back to me."
Here, let me just wipe this tear off your
And,
face.
and it's touching and shit because she gave up all the grittiness and stuff like that. She's like, "Oh, that's what it meant to have this ramen shop, to be together."
The money didn't matter, did it?
Yeah.
It was her wife
Yeah.
girlfriend the whole
Yeah,
time.
it was my girlfriend the whole time. And right here, that's when the anime has me, dude. Like,
Me too,
dog. Because not only did they finish that same story in that same episode, like,
Tight, like a tight
Thank you.
18 minutes.
Thank
like, it's
you.
so tight.
Thank you.
So
yeah.
another question I have: do they establish the rules of like their time travel? Like, can they go back into one picture multiple times?
No. They cannot go back into the same picture
twice.
But like, if I took 5 pictures of you right now at different angles, I could go back. You know what I mean? And then you get 12 hours in each picture.
Yes.
So yeah, so it's like that. But then like it does get kind of annoying later on. Like in the middle part of the season, not annoying, but like it's just
Introduce video recording, which is kind of nonsense because there's a lot of cameras that are intertwined in the same security system. So like, oh, I'm here, but I can also access this other camera because it's at another angle at the same time. But then I can also access this other camera, but they can't really see what they need to see because it's just.
Well, what I was going to say, in the middle of the season, it's just kind of annoying because, like, Chang will be in a memory, will be in a photo, and the whole episode is just Lou being like, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. No, we're not here to do that.
And do they get like is it like 12 hours? You got to do this in 12 hours, or like can they cut it short? Like, okay, I'm done. Like, I'm getting
He
out of
can
here.
clap his hands.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So like, it's kind of cool, like, when they jump in between episodes, because, like, what Aldo was saying, it's kind of like, it's kind of like these dudes are a couple sometimes, but that might just be fan service, you know what I mean? Because, like the beginning of episode 1, when Chang's going to jump into the first picture the first time, you think they're going to, like, hold hands? I'm like, okay. But then they just, like, dab each other up. And I'm just like, oh, all right.
Yeah, one goes into the memory of the picture, and the other one like possesses the body. Yeah.
Just by the power of dabbing each other up.
Yeah. and it's really fun. What's the third episode?
To lose, not to win. This was my favorite episode that I was... Well, no. The beginning of this episode was one of my favorite episodes that I was telling Aldo off mic. Because Chao Ling, for whatever reason, the animation in this episode just has me, like, encapsulated. Because it's just this girl just, like, jogging in, like, spandex and just, like... But the animate, like... The backgrounds are like almost like a watercolor Studio Ghibli kind of thing.
That's what I was gonna say. Besides your corny comments about the jogging outfit,
I
wanted to emphasize about the background. It reminds me of Odd Taxi.
Yes.
Odd Taxi, like grainy, very dirty background of like maybe watercolors or like oil paint. It looks really nice with the like.
But then her character model like stands out so clearly. Like the outline and like
Yeah.
the colors she's wearing just pop because she's wearing like black spandex, but then she's wearing like pinks. It's so like it pops out, but then like it starts off scary because you think she has a stalker. And then, like, all we end up learning is that, like, this guy just wants them to jump back to his high school basketball game. And he was stalking her because he heard that she's a witch and he didn't want to get, like, cursed or murdered or whatever the hell she's doing. And nobody knows that it's the guys.
And this is where we walk into the basketball mission, right?
Right. Like, we don't have a lot of context. Granted, like, it doesn't seem like we have a lot of context for a lot of these. But,
There's a thing that we get left off with episode 1 because at the end of that reporting is like, we can rule it off as a suicide, blah, blah, blah. And then the episode ends and then we begin with the stalker.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I thought as an audience, like, oh, are we
It's
going
the same
into
guy.
Are we going into like a murder mystery kind of thing, you know? But no, it completely deflects that. Like,
well, the whole thing is the basis of the episode. So most episodes are told from the point of view of Chang. Like he's basically more of the main character than Lou is, because Lou's kind of like the stoic, cool, smart, like Killua character of the two. But then Chang's the like he's the voice of the audience. He's just like, okay, cool. Why did we want to go back to a basketball game again? What happened to his childhood crush that we need to go talk to her?
what do you mean I can't dunk on fools?
Yeah,
if I'm good at basketball, yeah.
So, like, this episode is the first time we start getting actual flashbacks between the relationship between Chang and Lou. Because the point of the episode is that this guy that hired them was a huge fucking dork that, like, was actually the basketball team's photographer, and their star player got injured. in like their last basketball game ever in a gym, which was basically an abandoned like automobile warehouse.
If I have any issues with like the plot, is that why are high school students like playing in an abandoned building?
This is like the first and only time I felt like, oh, that's some like communist China shit. Because like for like 2-3 episodes while we're in this memory, it's it's everybody in the village, in the community being like, yeah, basketball doesn't matter. You need to get your education. You need to get good grades so that you can go to a good university and get a good job in the city for the government.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Communism.
Yeah, communism. I was like, okay, I
knows.
finally hear it. That's like the first and only time you hear it. But that's why they're working in the gym, because it's not a priority for the school. They're not going to spend funds to like make an actual gym, as opposed to like American sports where like entertainment is such a monopoly that we'll go out of our way to spend tens of millions of dollars on high school and college level sports
to not pay
gymnasiums. Yeah, just to not pay them, but to make money off those sports. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Dude,
that's the difference between like Americans and like this Chinese.
It looks like the court looks like Ivan Ooze factory in the Power Rangers.
Exactly what it looks like. They're playing on concrete with like potholes in it.
Like cracks and stuff on level surfaces.
Basketball. How would you dribble
No
that?
nets. I'm glad they had a backboard on both ends.
Oh, and also, so like Chang is actually really good at basketball, so he just starts like wrecking this other team, and that's like the whole plot. Is that like Lou's like, dude, you gotta calm down. Like everyone's gonna get suspicious if this random nerd that you took the body of just like starts getting good at basketball all of a sudden.
But then one of the nodes of the timeline was to lose that game.
Yeah.
So the captain could get encouraged to leave the town,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
To do something better with his life,
Yeah.
because he got stuck on the basketball thing.
Right.
And that's when we learn that Lou is been hiding the earthquake who kills most of the people involved in this timeline.
Right. So like there's an earthquake that happens in this village. It's just like it's like a town inside of a gully between like mountains. So like when the earthquake happens, like just landslides start happening and it just crushes everybody and kills everybody.
So the guy that hired him he's like I don't think
He's like the only survivor from
I don't
this
think
earthquake.
he's aware. I don't think he's aware. Yeah, maybe he's aware, but he just wanted to give his captain a better ending to his life, maybe?
Yeah, he gave Lou like a set of notes for 3 different people. So that's like the captain, it's his crush, which was the captain's sister, and his mom. And he's just like, I need you to talk to these 3 people, tell them this script, and like the job's done essentially.
Yeah.
And so like the first one is actually like the crush. So the captain like he like the head player on the opposing team like hit his knee to like
Nasty, dude.
Yeah, to like try to like take out his fucking ACL so that they could win the game against some losers that play inside of like an abandoned automobile warehouse. So like they do that, they win the game. That's where that's the first fuck up. But like that's when Lou's like, I guess it doesn't matter because it doesn't affect everything all at once, because they win the game because Chang is gonna like go up for just the fun. He's just gonna dunk on these guys and just win the game. But he's like, no, Lou said like we're supposed to lose, so he just like dishes it out at the last end. But then that guy makes that shot and he's just like, oh shit, we won, fuck, my bad.
Yeah. And
so then he's like driving his, not driving, but like he's helping his friend home on his bike since like he hurt his knee, and that's when he meets the girlfriend. And that's like the first time that I started realizing that Chang's actually feeling what they feel inside of their bodies, because like he's like 16 and 17 at the time, and the second he sees this girl, he's just like, yo, Lou, like this guy's body is bugging right now. He is freaking out just looking at this girl, you know what I mean? He's just like, he's too shy to even talk to her, because like Chang is like this outspoken loud person, but him being inside of this like nerd's body, he can barely like vocalize like a hello to her.
And that's a very good like,
Nerds not being able to talk to girls is a good point. Good job, Drew. I got it.
No, it is a good point, but also like from the writing perspective, like it's such a good concept to input into like a time traveling somebody that gets involved in somebody else's body, you know, somebody that what do you call that? Like they're controlling him, not controlling
Like
him.
possessing?
Yeah, possessing. Like, it's something that comes with possession. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're gonna possess something, then you're in between kind of like mindsets.
I think that's a really good point, because even when we talk about like something like Mushoku Tensei, you know what I mean? Like, for some reason, he's horny as like a toddler, which like just literally that doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like, he does not have that biological infrastructure that would make him to be horny. That would make him feel like that. You know what I mean?
Hey, late bloomers, early bloomers. You know what I'm saying?
He's like 2 at the time.
Yes.
You get what I mean? Like, that's not a thing. Like, you would not fit. And
hey, it's been proven that babies get boners when they breastfeed from their mothers. That's a thing. Look it up.
I didn't think that's where we were going with that.
I did not think that's where we were going with that at all.
At all. But yeah, babies get erection from feeding from their mothers.
Whoa, that's way more information.
Sorry
than
to
I
bring you
right
to
now.
this world, but yeah.
That's absolutely insane to me. So now that I have this information that I was force fed.
Shut down.
Here's your 2-year-old.
Yeah, here's the 2-year-old boner information. I was like, Jesus. I do think it's interesting because, like, in a lot of these time travel, not even anime, like movies and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like, if you take over somebody else's body, like when you see a man take over the body of a woman, or I'm thinking even like the one of the Scooby-Doos, the live actions with the CGI Scooby-Doo.
When they change bodies.
It's
like,
yeah, and then he just wants to feel up Daphne's tits. I'm just like, would he still want to? That's my question. Like, would he... He no longer has like those eccentricities as a man because he's no longer like he doesn't have testicles. He doesn't have testicles.
Yes or no, but it's like his soul because like he still talks like him.
You're saying your soul has developed the need for tits like that? Like,
I mean, why does she talk like him?
And you don't have.
That's what I'm saying.
And you don't have to go that far. Like in Your Name, the first time they change, he's like, "Oh shit, I got tits."
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But that's just like
I do love
5
Your
seconds.
Name. I love
5
Your
seconds
Name so
of
much.
it.
You've seen Your Name, right?
I've never seen you.
Oh my god.
He's a musician. He's not a nerd. Well, he's a musician nerd.
You're just gonna have to write me a list now.
Yes, now.
Just go through the Between Nerds catalog. Just like take your pick.
I'll be better next time.
But yeah, I get you. It's so good to.
It's so smart. It's so smart that this is like the first time anybody was like, "Hey, maybe the person's body would influence the decision making here." So then that's that. So then he walks like his crush's girl home, and like she info dumps on him and the audience, being like, I'm gonna leave my mom and my brother. I'm gonna go live with my dad in the city because he's gonna put me into college and I'm gonna get a good job. But then that's where this guy like kind of also made the decision, like he kind of wants to run away with her, even though like they're childhood friends / basically strangers, because like he can barely talk to her. So then at that same point, like what we start seeing out of Chang is that he's getting flashbacks from where he was at this exact point. So during the basketball game, he starts getting flashbacks of when he met Lou, which was at like a pickup basketball game just at like street courts. And he's just like, isn't it cool, Lou, that like this is how like I impressed you and this is how we became friends just by dunking on you?
Hey, you're pretty good.
It felt like the dialogue there felt like the early Fast and Furious movies. You get what I mean? Oh, you drift so good, bro. You want to be besties? That's what it felt like.
White man can't jump.
Yes, yes, exactly. That's what it felt like right here. I'm just like, all right, I've heard this writing before, but then
Rush Hour.
But then when he starts getting memories of like what this day and time
meant
was
for Chang, yeah,
right. What it meant for Chang was that he was basically an orphan already at this point, and his mother. His dad had left them or was dead, and his mother, they lived alone in like an apartment in the same region. She was singing to him at night like a lullaby, and that was the night that she also died in this earthquake. And that's why he is now like in the protection of Chao Ling and her family, because he was just an orphan that her family just adopted.
So he's personally attached to this mission now.
Right. So now that he's personally attached, that's when Lou's like, dude, leave that body now. We're just going to abort the mission because now he wants to run through the village and be like, guys, there's going to be an earthquake. There's going to be an earthquake.
He's like, I got 2 hours. He's like, guys, it's going to be a fucking earthquake. It's going to be a fucking earthquake.
He starts telling the client's mom and just info dumping on the mom. And her just being a mom, like I don't know how old your your mom is, Thomas, but like when I tell my mom to hurry, like she's just like, hold on, I gotta get my things. Like I gotta get my stuff together. This and that. And then like you just see Chang in this guy's body be like, why are you making a bag right now? We are leaving. There is a landslide that is gonna happen. Right? Is that just me or is it okay?
No, I see it. I see it.
That's how my mom is.
Right. That's what, so. What Chang is able to take from like the news story and like how the client survived this was he was hiding underneath a table at the time. So he gets the mom to stay under the table. He's like, okay, stay right here. And she's like, hold on, I forgot something. I got to go get it. And then like she leaves from underneath the table, comes back in at the very last second when the landslide is happening. And it's crazy. And I can't believe I didn't think about this. But like so for Chang to leave the past, he has to like dab himself up. Like he first dabs Lou up and then he dabs himself up to leave. But like if his hands are like
crushed by
like a building, he can't leave. So he's just trapped.
He gets stuck under the debris with that dude's mom as she's
dying on top of him, like literally on his back.
They're holding hands as they're in the rubble. It's like, don't worry, baby, I'm right here. Your mommy will always be here. Blah blah blah. And this was because he's feeling his memories of like the lullabies and like all the time they had together, and when the dad left and stuff like that. Like he's just sobbing and sobbing. He's like, what the fuck is going on? He gets rescued, and he dabs himself up and like he goes back to the present, but like he's like
a different person now.
yeah, dude, like he's so in shackles of what he couldn't do that he goes back and is like, that's all that could happen. And he tells Lou, and then Lou's like, yeah, dude, it's like that's what it needed to happen. The only thing different about this timeline though is that the mom was able to save his dad's camera.
Yeah, that's so the only thing that changed
pictures. Now we have more pictures in the present.
So, and it's also. So, I cut you off, but I don't know if I should let you finish. One piece of context before you talk.
Okay. So,
like, the dad wasn't there because he's, like, a freelance photographer and just, like, kind of abandoned his family a little bit. Okay, you go.
Okay, so I know this might be a dumb question.
Hey,
but
I like it.
What happens if, like, do they ever touch on, like, if that person, like, the person they're controlling dies? Like, I understand they'll change the
But,
the
like,
timeline,
I thought about that, but I was like, what happens if the person Chang is inside of dies?
They never go...
But, like, imagine, like, is he trapped? Does he die with them? Like, is it just, like...
Inception?
Yeah. I don't know.
It's because... And we're lucky that this season 2 was announced.
Yeah. Season 2 was announced, like, 4 weeks ago.
That's not a spoiler, but goddamn. Good written.
Yeah. Any other questions?
No. I don't
No?
know.
Okay. So then, they're all pretty adult themes, right? You know what I mean? So, like, when Chang comes back, he's sobbing. Like, he is losing his mind. He's got PTSD from experiencing somebody else's mother's death. To the point that, like, we have a whole episode of him just telling Lou and Chao Ling, like, dude, I'm not doing this anymore.
Like,
I don't care
what the fuck are we doing if we can't change anything? Why the fuck are we doing anything?
Yeah, he's like, I don't care how much money I owe you. Like, I am done. Like, this is... I am not having any part of this. But then, like, what brings him out of that is, like, a child abduction.
Dude, for me...
This is such a mature anime, like...
Dude, for me, this was... I was watching this first third episode, and it continues for, like, maybe 3 episodes, I think. Like, this one and the second one?
Basketball is 4 through 5. 6 is the, like, I'm not working anymore, guys. And then...
Lost Child.
The Search for the Child is episode 6.
The Search for the Child is episode 6. So this goes for, like, what, 2 episodes? Maybe 2.5?
Yeah.
So, I'm a father. Almost of 2. You know? And I was watching this, like, in the middle of the night, and I'm like, holy shit, man. The same way that we're talking about how he envelops, like, the people's emotions that he possesses. Like, it just hit me so hard on this episode, dude. Because... It's a dad goes into the office, a la mob style, you know, mob 100, you know, like he goes in there and he's like, hey, can you guys help me? And he only has a flyer with this like passport size picture of the kid. It's like, can you guys help me find my child? It's been like 6 years or something. It's like, and we're still looking for him. That guy looks rugged.
Well, what's scary is how the episode starts is the day the child got lost.
Yes.
So, like, it's the parents, like, running, like, a boba tea shop or something, but, like, they're popping. Like, they're doing really good for themselves. And the kids keeps trying to be like, Mom, Dad, let's go play. Let's go watch Power Power Rangers and go fuck around. Like, and they're just like, oh, get out of here. So they just give him their fucking phone and just like sit down.
Go watch. You go get your phone and watch
Power Rangers.
Power Rangers on because they have like outside like seating.
Yeah,
so
like
he sits like on the immediate table. And goddamn, dude, like...
And they just lose him. Like, he's just gone from 1 second to the next.
They animate this so good. I want to talk about the animation right here, too, because I haven't talked about it. But in both Lu's and Chang's eyes, there's this redness about them, which you don't see in a lot of characters, but, like, they seem tired. Like, both of them. And...
They've seen too much.
once they're playing the intro to this episode, and the mom... And everything's hectic inside the restaurant, and then the dad, hey, babe, come on, let's go. It's like, look at my phone. Go sit over here, go play with your toys, and watch Power Rangers. And then they animate him playing and watching the phone. They animate the huge line. They animate, they change scene to the mom and the dad, like just working the walk and working the tease and doing all this. And then they start playing animations of like the phone playing. The phone, like if you were just setting up your phone to watch it like while you're eating or something. And then they animate like a toy just on the table. Like, you know, he's not grabbing it. You know what I'm saying? And then they pan out to the parents being, like, busy. And then they pan to, like, the phone again. Or the table being almost empty. And then they pan to the parents again. And, like, the dad is busy. And the mom looks up and is like, where the fuck is Doe? Where the fuck is Doe? Where the fuck is Doe? That's his name, right?
Yeah, I think that was his name, yeah.
Where's Doe? And then that's when they lose him, dude. And then the episode begins with the dad going to the agency and being like, hey, can you guys... 6 years later or 7 years later...
His name is Doe.
Doe, yeah. And then they're, can you help me? He's like, nah, man, we can't help you with this. And this is where the rules of time traveling starts, too, because now they're starting to get to, like, video recordings.
Yeah. So basically, this is where we start learning that Lu's power... isn't that he like just understands the whole timeline, is that he understands the whole timeline based off of like where cameras and like pictures are being taken. So like if they're in like a mall or like a busy town square, there's cameras in front of everybody's business, right? So he can tell the timeline and like exactly what's happening based off where the cameras are pointing. But that kid was right outside of the camera point of view, which was probably why he got stolen and never found.
Yes. And then...
Well, it's scary though because it's 6 years in the past though. So like all of the characters we know are still kind of like vaguely part of it. So like Chao Ling saw the child with a stranger day of
the landlord, right?
Yeah. She didn't even realize it. She walked by him with her best friend, and like she kind of is like trying to tell Chang and Lu like I might have seen this kid getting abducted day of, but I don't remember anything because they were just two random strangers in the street.
Right.
So like it's also scary because they fill up a lot of like airtime in these two episodes by telling the story of where the parents are currently. Like the mom has basically
lost her mind, dude.
Yeah, she's digressed into like where her kid was at the time. Like she's just watching like Power Rangers and
reruns,
anime all day and just like learning what he felt at the time. And she can't feed himself. She can't work. So that means that the dad is basically trying to run that popular business by himself, which means that it dies, essentially.
And also, like, putting out flyers every week, like, every day. Like, the flyers are new and new and new. And that's why the people at the agency never lost memory of this. Because they always kept seeing the same flyers and the same flyers ones that were walking through the town.
And they keep trying to hire private investigators, and like they're hiring like spiritual handlers, like people that are like just stealing their money. So it's sad because his family is just losing their life savings because their child was taken from them.
So then right here we see the first instance of like what their powers differ from each other, because now Chang goes to the past without Lu's insight.
Yeah, because he's going through like camera footage, like he's as himself.
Yeah, so he goes back as himself and not possessing anybody else. So he's just trying to keep a low key, you know, like keep a
low profile.
Yeah, and then he's just seeing, it's like, okay, I see the baby, I see the kid, and then like he's like, oh, the kid's alright. So I don't know why the fuck would he do that, like in that instance, but he's like, oh, I'm not gonna pay attention to him like 1 second, and then he turns around and he's not there.
Yeah,
you know. Then he loses his time, right? He's trying to look for the thief, not the thief, the trafficker.
Yeah,
trafficker.
Child abductor, whatever.
Yeah, the child abductor, and he bumps into the landlord.
Shaolin, yeah.
Yeah, at that time. And he's like, holy shit, you weren't supposed to see me. I need to go, blah, blah, blah. Time ends. He goes back. He's like, I'm sorry. We couldn't do anything about it.
But then Ling like walks into the shop being like, hey, I saw you. Why are we still looking for them? What were you doing there at that time?
Yeah. And
what were you going to say?
So, like, so he takes control of himself in the past? Or so, like...
No. Like, because, like, he wasn't there at that time, at that instance, and it's a camera, and you can't take control of a camera, I guess. Like, he literally just, like, teleports into the past as himself. So that means there's two versions of him in the past at that time.
So that's what I was wondering. I was like, okay, so he's just like off doing like his own thing with like nobody caring what he's doing at that time. I don't know. It threw me off a little.
Well, when he sees Chao Ling, she's like, "You're supposed to be overseas, like studying or something," because I guess he did school in Japan or something. I don't know.
Right. Yes.
So yeah, scary stuff.
And
because it's a child, it's a literal child.
So then, like, once they're talking to the dad of the present, being like, you know what, there's nothing we can do about it, blah blah blah, and he has his phone, and I'm like, and then Chang, from what he saw the kid doing while he was playing on that table, he's like, wait, let me see your phone. I think I saw Dodo like taking a picture. Like, let me see your phone. He's like, oh well, good thing I don't erase any of my fucking pictures. And then he goes back at it. Dodo, while he was playing with his toys, he took a picture of his toys doing a cool stand or something, right?
Yeah, because he had like a Power Ranger and like a kaiju, and they were just like fighting.
So through that picture, he now possesses the kid's body while he's playing outside on that table. And he sees how he gets abducted by this lady.
Here's what threw me for a loop. It was a woman.
It was a woman.
I was like, hey, like, I thought it was just gonna be some creepy dude this whole time.
Dude,
and
good writing, bro.
I was like, whoa,
Good
like,
writing,
it's just
bro.
a creepy woman? Women can be weirdos too? What is happening?
Bro, it's crazy because then, well, you know that, I don't know if you heard, but like Houston is like the capital of like human trafficking in the United States.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like Houston has like big like human trafficking fucking problem. And a lot of things that you hear about these stories about like women getting like weird vibes from other women is that this woman at the supermarket will be like, oh, this and that. They'll be very friendly. Oh, blah, 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 blah. It's like, I have this club or this job or this thing for you. It's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And they explain so good. Well, I have a flyer in my car if you want it. And they go and then they abduct the woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, so...
I didn't like that story.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely terrifying. But, like, when I saw that they wrote in a female, like, hook to the human trafficking...
Oh, yeah, that's what they're called.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's fucking ridiculous. Because the kid is playing, and as Chang is in this infant's head, it's also messing with his... what do you call it? His
psyche?
Not his psyche, his, judgment.
Oh, yeah. Right?
So there's a ball that rolls to his feet. He grabs it. And then he looks up, and there's a woman there. And he's like, hey, bring the ball back. And then he's like, oh, this kind of smells funny. And he passes out because the thing is drugged.
Yeah.
You know? And then he's like, don't worry about it. It's like, your parents don't have time for you right now. I'll play with you.
Come with Auntie May.
Yeah, and then she grabs him, and he's like, whoa, what the fuck is going on? I can't see. And then he blacks out, and he wakes up outside the city somewhere else, like in this motel room with this, like, weird lady. Yeah. It is insanely, like fucking Rays. You know what I'm saying? It feels so like horror driven.
It's scary too because like you don't know what's gonna happen to him, but like once he comes to, he's still kind of groggy, chloroformed out, whatever it was, and like he has the sense to like start looking for her wallet and be like,
"Who's an ID?
Who is this bitch?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then he does it, and like, but then he manages to wake her up. And that's super scary, but because, like, Chang is actually trained in martial arts, he kind of, like, beats the shit out of her.
So he's a little kid with, like, good skills, but still not the strength enough to, like, actually overtake her.
Right, so he gets a few good hits in, still gets overpowered, but, I guess the trick is that, like, it's like,
he plays into her, like, emotions.
Well, there's a scene in Oshi no Ko that's like this, where in Oshi no Ko, it's kind of an isekai, kind of not, where, like, two babies were reincarnated into the children of a pop idol, and but they have all their adult memories, and they basically act like adults. And the first time they showed up to somebody is to their babysitter, and they play themselves off like they're gods. They're just like, you are disobeying the will of I right now, and that means that I'm an adult and I'm a product of the goddess Amaterasu, and now you have to listen to me.
Ancestors should be ashamed of you, and they're watching over you.
So that's exactly what happens right here. He's just like, I am an omnipotent child, and you should never have abducted me, and this, and that.
You better give me back as soon as possible. But that as soon as possible takes 2 years of the abduction. Yeah. So the parents still went. When he comes back from the altercation with her, like it took 2 years for the kid to be found because the lady gave herself up. Yeah. She's like, I'm sorry. He's like, I don't want to see that kid anymore. He's scary. Blah blah blah. And the parents, they still went through a loss. They still went through 2 years without their kid.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
Especially at that age. You know what I mean? He's like 4.
And there's this fucking thing about the writing of it that the kid before the time mission, like the original timeline, was that he always dreamt about like getting back together with his family, but then the day that comes, he almost doesn't recognize her because he almost doesn't recognize his own family because he has seen it in his dreams differently. But then like one simple instance of like his dad like pulling out a toy, he's like, look, like I still have your toy, and then he just like breaks down crying and actually goes for a hug. Like it's fucking crazy.
Oh, and that's when they start working with the cops.
So she doesn't give him back after he says he's an omnipotent child?
That's the only thing that gets me about this episode.
It's because by the time he wakes up from being knocked out, like he's already out of town, like out of the city, I don't know, they don't say how.
Like the lady gives herself up to, and she's just like, I didn't abduct anybody after him, I promise. I raised him like it was my own child. I just could never turn myself in, but like the guilt has finally taken me over. That's kind of how they explain it. The guilt like built up over time, and that's why after 2 years she gave herself up. Yeah. But I had that same thought at the time.
A child does that to me? I'm
leaving
it on the
street. Get out of here! Get out of here! I don't want you.
Leave it into the woods somewhere. Like I'm not gonna deal with that. You know, like.
So they're working back. They're working with the cops now.
They are working with the cops now.
Which kind of like brings up some red flags to me because I feel like it's about to get very tropey. From here on as an audience member, like I feel like
typical time high stuff.
Yeah, it felt like Death Note.
And also Thomas isn't with us right now. In case y'all didn't notice, he had to go to work, but we appreciate him being here.
We're right here now with you guys. We're closer to you guys.
Comment if you guys like the angle more.
Yes, please do. Comment if you like this side more or that side more. Whichever side you like is not a competition.
The dark side, this side.
But get closer, bro. What are you doing?
Okay, my bad. It's because you smell.
Oh, sorry. I'm a nerd. You got back from a smelly competition.
We're not talking about that right now. What are we talking about?
They're working back with they're working with the cops now, which makes me feel like I'm watching Death Note. It makes me feel like
it did feel Death Note-y.
You know, it makes me feel like Erase at some point again. You know.
Oh, that was the plot to Erase, wasn't it? I feel like we've just been clowning on Erase since like our episode 5 that I forgot the plot to Erase.
But then again, like the only reason I'm clowning on Erase is about the ending. You know, like everything on Erase was solid,
peak,
concrete
until like the very last episode.
Until the very last episode, and not even the last episode, but the last 15 seconds of the last episode. You know, It's like Dexter on Showtime.
Yeah, and I used to watch a lot of Dexter, to be honest.
Dexter is great until the last episode, bro. The last episode is
of every season.
Yeah.
Of every single season.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So then what's happening? So they're working with the kids because it's after the Aunt May thing, and the cops want them to find a serial killer that is targeting the victims or that is victimizing their old clients.
Correct.
And that starts with the plot from episode 1 with Emma.
Right.
So then where's it go from there?
Well, I like to bring up the relationship between Lou and Shang right here. Do you remember how Detective Pikachu made you feel?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
You're like, who's the dad? Oh, it was Ryan Reynolds.
It was Ryan Reynolds the whole time! Of course
it was Ryan Reynolds the whole time. And in this instance...
I missed Detective Pikachu.
Dude, it's so fun. I rewatched it. It's on Hulu, bro.
Oh, is it?
I rewatched it with my kid. He likes it. He doesn't know what a Pokemon is, but he likes it. But
I just missed that meme of everybody living that meme for a week where it was like, duh, it was Ryan
it
Reynolds.
was Ryan Reynolds, right? So, in the opposite sense here in Link Click, when I thought it was going to be like a boy love kind of story.
Hey man, you were pushing for that one. I don't know.
No man,
They had a good relationship. I don't think that's out of the ordinary for somebody to like take that from it, because it's clear that the video direction wanted you to assume that's what was going to happen.
Correct, but then the reason it's not that I'm pushing it, but the reason that I was expecting it so much is because when we see like this convoluted stories,
right,
they usually want to take in more that they can deliver.
Yeah.
You know, and like I thought it was gonna be like this what's the fucking anime that I hate that you love with the eye, with the guy and the robots and he's playing 3D chess all the time.
Oh, Code Geass.
Code Geass. So at one point I was like, so they're gonna push this thing. And it's gonna get all convoluted, but at this point, I know they're not doing that.
Right.
But like,
to Code Geass's defense, I think what you hated most was the pacing.
Absolutely, and the all the stories that they want to take on without delivering on any of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this is what I thought it was gonna be. So I'm like, oh, okay. So now we're going into like this Scooby-Doo helping the police kind of trope.
That's what I thought at first too, and then they kind of put that on the back burner for like an episode, which was interesting, because we're like they introduced that, and then you're right, like it introduces this whole like, okay, time heist stuff, like you got to solve like murder mystery stuff now, okay, whatever. But then the very next episode is Chao Ling's best friend Zhu, and like her asking for help because she blacked out the other night and she doesn't realize what she told to her not be boyfriend when she was drunk. Because like, and this is what I wanted to bring up a little bit, which was one of the points that I wanted to bring up, was like a lot of these like Japanese and Chinese cultures, there's like the strong theme of not wanting to be upfront with somebody when you want to be with them, right? Like American media, like think of like every piece of like 80s pop culture movies and TV in like the 80s and 90s. When it comes to relationships, it's always like, oh, how are you going to ask them out?
Shotgun weddings.
Shotgun wedding. How are you going to ask them out? How are you going to ask them out? Like there's whole movies and TV shows about trying to ask somebody to date you.
Prom proposals.
Right. But then Link Lick and like these Asian medias are just like, they'll passively just be like together for years, but then they never officially have a relationship, which is the plot to this episode.
I really like this episode.
You did like it. What is it? What's the plot?
Well, it's because at the beginning of the episode, when we think, well, at least me as an audience, that we're going to jump into this murder mystery, helping the cops and stuff.
Yeah.
They take it like Spider-Man, like street level stuff.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
So now, like, this guy comes.
Zhu walks into the shop, which is Xiao Ling's best friend.
But we're talking about the old man that wants to marry. Did we skip that one?
Which one?
The one that the old man wants to marry the martial artist, the martial art old man. Did we skip that one?
Oh, I can't remember. Just explain it, and I'll try to fit into the plot.
Briefly, there's an episode where they go back to like street level stuff where somebody comes in, is like, hey, I've been trying to fall in love with this girl for so long, but his dad doesn't allow me because I don't come from a martial arts family.
Right.
So this guy is literally going through hurdles to like get this girl's hand in marriage, but the dad never allows it. He grows old, and without the need of time travel, like they come to a closure into like tying this ribbon of this story that doesn't need any interference from time travelers.
What's that Netflix show where every episode is like a different sci-fi plot? Like the very first episode is about like the Prime Minister of England having sex with a pig because some extortionist terrorists were like gonna bomb something if he didn't do it.
Black Phone?
Yes.
Black Phone?
Yeah, Black Phone. Black Phone. So it reminded me of that plot from Black Phone.
Black Mirror.
Black Mirror. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
Mirror.
you. There's an episode in Black Mirror that's about two girls falling in love in the 80s. And one's a white girl, one's a black girl, and they're both like they're gay. They're in love with each other. They want to have like a same-sex relationship. And that's the plot to that episode, is that like being in the 80s, being mixed race and being same-sex was a giant issue for them.
Right.
But like they were in a simulator where they were already old and they were living out their youth together. Like, what if they had actually been able to have that relationship as like 20-somethings? That's what this episode reminded me of.
Right. And then after they start working with police, what's the episode after that?
It's literally called Lost Signal. So it's Zhu-shan, friend of the Time Fudo Studio gang, the best friend of Xiaoling. That's what I was explaining, where she blacked out and like her boyfriend, not boyfriend, she like told him something.
And my point was that right after we think that they're going to start working with police, they're just helping out her drunk friend.
Yeah.
And that's what I was talking about, that street level. But I just wanted to touch up on that other episode because it feels very important.
Well, honestly, this might have been one of my favorite episodes too, because like now that we have this B plot of like police are targeting people that like the photo studio gang has worked with, we don't know if she's going to be one of the victims. And that's what's so like when he jumps into her memories, when he goes into that night and she gives her spiel and like her exposition, it's just like she's been basically best friends with this guy since they were undergrads, like their very first year of undergrad. And like they were best friends for 4 years. They graduated from undergrad, and then they were like, do you want to do grad school together? Just because they didn't want to leave each other. But that's my thing. Like, American media would have made it like a stop point at like their undergraduate graduation, being like, hey, do you want to date? Do you want to be together? This and that. But like this type of media, it's like the characters are so shy, they'll never actually ask each other out.
Yeah, and
I didn't like that.
Yeah, it's because you don't like it. Like, and by you, I mean like I guess the main audience over here in the West doesn't really like it because like stop beating around the bush kind of thing.
Right.
But then again, like Eastern culture is like, not only do you have to marry somebody good for yourself, but for the family as well. And it's like, maybe if I take the risk, it's gonna flop, and I don't want my family to see that flop.
I see that point because it's the family dynamic. You know what I mean? Because like it reminds me of like Karen's like obsessed. I don't even know what the show is called. I literally don't even know what platform it's on. But Karen's watching this show nonstop about like Indian weddings. And like how they're like kind of arranged marriages, or like the girl that runs the show will try to set up arranged marriages for like Indian couples. And it reminds me of that kind of, because it's like the family dynamic. It's like they come from a good family, you come from a good family. They're cheesemongers and you're cow farmers, so like this relationship makes sense, kind of thing.
We have the milk, you have the cheese.
Right. And that's what, like, in a roundabout kind of way, that's what this made me think of.
It's because there's a lot of beating around the bush.
Yes.
And if it's for plot purposes, then I'm all good for it.
Yes.
Which in this case, it was. But if you put that anywhere else in my anime about two people and keep denying the ship, like, fuck you.
And that's every anime we watch.
Every
anime. Like, that was even... What was it? Was it Toradora, the one with the palm top tiger?
Yes.
Where she's just like can't admit she just loves her best friend.
Yes.
And that's kind of how it is here, because like so Chang will jump into her body, and then like it's the same dynamic before, except like now she's an adult, where the second like she gets around this dude, she's like it's funny that dynamic, because they don't make it like sussy, or like they don't make it feel like we live in Texas, and like Texas right now is on this big like anti-trans tirade, you know what I mean? But like, it's not like that. Like, some people just want to live how they want to live. Like, why are you
so involved in their
in somebody
genitalia?
else's life? Exactly. So then, like, this episode, this guy taking over this girl's body, and this girl's body reacting to a dude, he's not being like, oh, this goes beyond my conservative beliefs. He's just like, holy shit, this girl is bugging. Why did she ask him to date like forever ago?
And then, so the mission starts with their friend, this girl, going to them is like, dude, I blocked out the other day, and I know he told me something important, but like I blocked out like as soon as he was telling me this important thing. Can you just go back real quick?
Just tell me what he said.
Tell me what he said so I can know now, like, you know, the night after. Pretty much, so they're not even going back in time. So crazy. It's like 12 hours or something like that.
It's last night.
So they're like, fine, we'll fucking help you. And then he goes back. He begins the night as her, so he's trying to take care of her drinking as well.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And they're talking, and they're doing this. But in the episode before, when the cops come to them after the child is released from his kidnapping...
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we believe there's somebody right here, and they show him a picture of a security camera, and there's this guy. So once they're in this mission for her drunk friend, and she's listening to the guy like, hey, like, the only reason I stayed the only reason I stayed in school was to stay with you and study with you because I didn't want to go work like in America or something.
Yeah.
And as he's telling her that, Chan in her body sees a guy
in a hoodie
stalking this other girl.
Yeah.
And him as a drunk woman, and again, I like that they didn't fix his fucking his way to be an idiot. Is like, as a child you got drugged, and then now you're drunk and you're following a serial killer, or what you think is a serial killer. So he goes into like dark alleys to follow this serial killer as a drunk girl.
Yeah.
It's great. But then he doesn't listen to the conversation fully of what the other guy says. So him gets caught in the dark alley by the serial killer that we're following now in this next half of the anime.
Yeah.
And Lou's like, oh, dude, you're in danger. He's right behind you. He's got the chloroform. Do something to just like at least get him off his feet. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna fucking pee. Oh shit, that was fucking hilarious.
So her trying to... Chang in her body tries to nonchalantly in the alley be like, oh yeah, I'm just back here to pee. And tries to like...
I thought that was on purpose. But then he's like, oh shit, I forgot I was in a woman's body. I can't take a piss right now. And he's like, you know what, I'm going to pretend to throw up. But then because he is a drunk girl at 3 a.m., like he's like, oh shit, it's for real this time. Like, he fucking pukes. And then the guy's like, oh shit. It was hilarious that he was like, ugh. And he goes like this with his own chloroform like film. And like he passes out.
Yeah.
But
hilarious.
Then,
I love that.
But then like Emma comes into the picture. Like Emma's plotline comes into the picture of... Because on the same envelope that the police showed Lou after the kid's release from the kidnapping, he hid a picture of Emma from Chang, because he didn't want Chang to think that her death was his fault.
Right.
And at this point, I'm so like involved in Chang's like emotional state, because
that's what I mean. Like they market Link Click so much as like this dual Chang Lu thing, but like Chang's totally the MC here.
Yes,
yeah, absolutely.
And it just feels better than the Butterfly Effect, because in the Butterfly Effect, Ashton Kutcher goes back as Ashton Kutcher. You know, he goes back as himself doing or trying to change the present.
Right.
Here, just him having involvement in everybody's like emotions and stuff like that makes it a bigger deal. And coming back to the present from that interaction and finding out that our girl, our second girl group friend that we have, you, like, and then she,
or Zhu, I guess,
Zhu, she's dead.
Yeah. They think she's disappeared.
She's disappeared.
She's disappeared. No, like her would-be not-be boyfriend hasn't heard from her in like 12 hours. And he's like, whoa, that's fucking weird. She hasn't like not communicated with me in like 6 years. And so yeah, there's like this abduction plot. But then like they start, because they do have this relationship to the cops, they do tell them like, look, we think it's this guy. It's Lou Mean. Like, can the cops go talk to him? And then they leak the cops put his information on the news. So the cops are telling the news media, like, look, this guy Lou is probably abducting people, and we're not sure why. So the cops show up to his apartment. Lou's dad is pissed and furious. He's like, can y'all stop harassing my son? This, and that. And then he comes out in a wheelchair, and he's just like, look at him. He's Greg Abbott. You think he's out here abducting people?
Maybe a better person.
Maybe a way better person than Greg Abbott. Greg Abbott supported Ken Paxton, just so we're clear.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I love that he's getting impeached in 20 accounts.
I swear we're not a political podcast. And anyway, so that's the thing. So then it does feel murder mystery. Because like in every murder mystery movie or TV show, the initial suspect is maybe not be... They have an alibi as to why they're not the suspect.
Is that guy who's not the guy.
Right, exactly. And that's every murder mystery thing ever. So then our guys are like, okay, well, we still don't know where the fuck Zhu is. We don't know where Emma is. We don't know what's going on. And that's when, how did they find a picture of Emma? That's the one that they got from the cops.
Well, hanging out with the landlord. Like, she has a picture. But I think you're talking about something before that.
Okay.
Because the actual murderer calls them.
He does call them.
After like, they foil, like, one of his plans. And he calls them, like, that's what you get, or something like that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Because he foiled Emma being kidnapped / murdered again, right? Because they found, like, a later picture of Emma after that they had helped her, where she basically got kidnapped at the train station, and that was when Chang was able to like hide inside of the trunk or something like that.
But they have footage of her after the serial killer's car accident,
right?
So they're like, it's ruled out. So it's like she died after that car thing,
right?
So they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So then that's what brings Chang in direct confrontation with Lu Min or whoever the abductee is.
And let me tell you, bro, the power system they introduced in the last 2 episodes, god damn, bro, it was so good.
I had to watch these last 2 episodes like 2 times each.
It was so good, bro. Like, Lu and Chang, well, at least Chang has been following Lu's leadership, direction here and there. It's like, dude, honestly, you cannot know what I need to do to get this fool here with me right now. And then the fact that he was paralyzed, and they emphasize that he's paralyzed, and then like he comes in, and we know that every person that Chang possesses, they change the eye color to yellow because that's his power color, and then lose his blue eye color, and then
the villain is red.
Yeah, the villain is red. And then the fact that they changed color after they had caught him. But, like, in between. So, the serial killer identifies Lu, goes to her where she's staying, breaks in the middle of the night, and kills her. And that's how she gets killed initially, right? When she's not answering phone calls.
Lu's the dude with the white hair.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Emma?
You. I'm sorry, you. When you initially gets killed, when she's not answering her lover's calls, when they get the phone call from the killer, and it's like, this is what you get, and then they're trying to fix that. So Chang possesses you in the instance.
Zhu, yeah.
And he's like, he lets know the killer. He's like, hey, I'm not this girl right now.
Right.
It's like, I'm her friend, and you're not going to touch this friend.
And we do see that it is Lu Min, but, like, he has the red eyes.
Right.
Which is sussy, yeah.
And then they psychologically trick him into this photo studio, this development.
Do you mind if I set that up?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, like, who Lu Min with the red eyes. So we don't know if that's actually Lu Min or if that's somebody else, because Lu Min in the present keeps saying, "My friend, my buddy, that guy."
He's helping me.
Somebody that's that's like taking over his body. Somebody that's like the Chang of somebody else. That's like the same powers as Chang, but the villain here, right? So like when Chang tries to go back, and when Emma gets kidnapped, and he hides inside of the trunk. And that's how he's able in the present to let Emma live, because like he goes inside the trunk, distracts him when like he's gonna abduct Emma or
he's already choking her.
He's already choking her, but then he hears something in the trunk. He's like, "What the fuck is that?" And that's when he opens the trunk, and that's when he sees Chang there, and that's when Chang just stabs himself up and goes back to the present.
And that's just, in the same time the villain claps back, because now we have conscious blonde guy trying to help this girl in the back.
Right. So that's Lu Min, the actual Lu Min, trying to help Emma, because and also at that same time they got into a car crash, and that's why Lu Min's like legs got fucked up.
But then Lu Min doesn't know why this girl is attacking her from the back
Right.
seat.
He's like, "Who the fuck is this girl? Why is she mad at me?"
I need to take her to the hospital. She wakes up. He's driving. She fucking bumps him in the fucking head, and he has a crash in which then he becomes
paralyzed. Yeah, and that's what fucks up his legs. But like whoever was abducting Lu Min, that the conversation he has with Chang is like, "Come to the Photoshop at this time at this date, and we'll talk it out. We'll hash out the beef." So that's that scene. Is that Lu Min with the red eyes, which we don't know if that's actual Lu Min or somebody possessing him or what. He shows up to the shop, and then like the shop has like a little automated little robot voice that's like, you know, you walk into a store or a restaurant sometimes, like,
bing bing.
Yeah, my takeout little torta shop has like just like customer entered. You get what I mean? But then you can program that, and then this one says just like it's Chang's voice being like, "Hey, I'm in the red room," or whatever it's called.
No, well, he's like, "Oh, you sure are punctual."
Yeah,
but he already knows where to go. He's like, "Go to the photo studio." He goes into the red room. And then Lou locks him in there. And at the same time...
Because Chang didn't tell Lou the story. He was just like, "Hey, when somebody walks into the red room, just lock the door."
And then at the same time that he's on the past telling him this, he's already in the present in the same room. So he claps back. He comes in. He's like, "Motherfuckers, like, you're dealing with me now." Pow!
This guy's got a knife, too. Just so we're clear, like, he's trying to murder Chang.
Yeah, hits him in the fucking head. It's like, you think it was going to be that easy? But then we get the whole heist version of this whole Ocean's 11 backtrack to the plot. It's like, you're going to do this? It's like, oh, you weren't just messing around in the photo studio. You were putting up pictures of all his victims. And then so he's triggering them with all his pictures but his Chang is triggering... the serial killer, what's his name?
Lu Min.
Lu Min with all his victims' pictures, but then again, Chang has the ability to travel through all those pictures because he can see them.
So he'll jump into the present, beat his ass a couple times, and then look at a picture, jump into the past so that he can't like get retaliated.
And then kind of like poke at his brain and be like, "Do you remember these motherfuckers? Like they were having a good time. And you ended all this good time because you decided to hurt these people." And then he comes back and then boom, an elbow, and then comes back and jumps on him and fucking like.
Because not only is it Emma who's dead, but it's like several other victims. So like this person that's taking over Lu Min has a clear vendetta against like our guys, against the Link Lake guys. And at that same time, after getting his ass beat a couple times and the knife gets knocked out of his hands, that's when the cops like storm the photo studio. And they hear Lu Min being like, "I'm going to kill you. That's why I killed all these other people." So he's setting himself up. And then the cops storm in, arrest him, and now he's like,
limbs. And then he goes limb. He goes paralyzed, you know?
Yeah.
And they're like, "We know you're fucking kidding. At that point, I paid attention to the eyes, and his eyes were not longer red.
Right.
So I'm like, oh shit. We have 10 minutes. Oh shit. He gets to the station a la Joker in The Dark Knight.
Yes.
And then he just blows up Gotham like from there.
Yeah.
Because there's an instance where I don't know if it's a flashback or after the interrogation by the cops, but he's in his penthouse as the rich kid Lu Min, and and he gets possessed by his friends. Like, nah, we're not gonna let this go. He takes
Because while being interrogated, he's like, my friend did this, my friend did that. And they're like, dude, we know you did it. We heard you say, I'm going to kill you, Chang Shishao. Like, what are you talking about right now? He's like, no, it was my friend. It was my friend. It was my friend.
And then at the same time, Chang, because he's such a good person, tries to go back to the camera footage that was posted online, and he was able to see it to save Emma for killing herself because she felt so guilty. And this is something that we don't know. Like, Emma felt so guilty of not just the harassment that we see in the episode before, but because she had to allow that harassment because she took money from the CEO.
Something that we haven't even like talked about enough at the end of episode 1 was that like the CEO's wife walked in on Emma like stealing the data, because like Chang's whole thing was like he's gonna spill coffee on the CEO's lap and be like, oh, you're distracted because I'm cleaning up your lap and there's hot coffee on your lap, so I'm gonna stick a USB in here and steal all the data, and that's how I'm gonna get it back to the client. And it just makes her look like kind of slutty, which is why like, you know, somebody of like she's supposed to be super conservative and upright and like moral, so like her being that promiscuous, like her coming off that promiscuous made her want to commit suicide.
That's what we think as an audience.
Yes.
But like at the end, we know that she could have avoided all of this once she found out about the doctorate accounting paperwork,
Right?
You know, because she knew about the different accounts and the doctorate accounts and stuff like that. Then she took the money. So that's why she killed herself. It's like, I've been lying to my family. My family thinks I'm this person, which I'm not.
They think I have this great job and I'm this upstanding person.
So then Chang comes in as himself because he traveled through the camera, through the surveillance camera footage. Yeah. He's like, girl, don't worry about it, dude. I'm sorry. This was my fault. I thought I could help.
Texted your mom on your behalf. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. And she's like, no. It's like, I've been a fucking horrible person. It's like, no, dude. It's like, people make mistakes. It's about the things you do after those mistakes that matter and blah, blah, blah. And then in the same moment, our unknown the evil guy,
the wiki is calling him unnamed people possessor.
Unnamed people possessor possesses 3 people. No, 2 people in 2 different timelines. No, 3 people in 2 different 3 people in 2 different timelines. Once he's getting interrogated, he chokes himself.
Yeah.
And kills that body.
Yeah.
Possesses the landlord and stabs Lou in the stomach.
Yep.
And possesses Emma and has her jump, and not even stays with her until the end of the jump. He releases her like mid jump, and she's like falling to her death, and she kills herself. Then Chang goes back into the present, and like Lou is stabbed. The landlord is still possessed, and she's like, "This is what you get for fucking cheating, you bum."
Yeah, because like whoever the possessor is really wanted to be friends with Chang and Lou. You know what I mean? So Chang cheating by jumping between the present and the future to beat his ass, like really pissed him off.
It is an insane.
That last 30 seconds really made me sad too, because like I really like Chao Ling, and like her stabbing Lou like kind of upset me, but like it's not her fault. Like that's like every other movie or anime like that, where it's just like she's gonna come to after being released and she's like, what the fuck? Why is there a knife in my hand? Why is there blood on it? Lou, why are you stabbed? What is happening right now? It's wild. Link Lake is super good, and like something we haven't even talked about at all. The music is like kind of awesome. If we're being honest,
the outro is awesome. I love it.
It's a Mandarin rap, which I love, because there was like a summer for whatever reason in like 2013. No, maybe like 2012, where I was obsessed with like this Chinese rap group called Higher Brothers, and like that's what it reminded me of. It's just like, because Mandarin sounds like a lot of sha, like a lot of like CHSH English sounding things. You know what I mean? And just hearing that in rap again, but like it's actually banging. So like the last scene is like Lou stabbed. Chao Ling is telling Chang to go fuck himself, and then Chinese rap starts, and I'm just like, whoa, what is going on? Like, it's so upbeat and hard, and I'm just like, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
It is amazing, guys. It is amazing. Like 10 out of 10. watch it. If you like Erase, watch it. If you like Steins Gate, watch it. Even if you like the movie of Madoka Magica, like watch it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
like
yeah, for sure. And like the intro is like it's kind of poppy. It's kind of like typical J-pop, K-poppy, but like they're doing like hand voguing.
There's Madonna.
Yeah, it's voguing. Yeah. And like it's super. Like you've probably seen these gifs everywhere. If you know anything about Link Click, you've probably seen these gifs at some point. And like it's so dope. It's like I don't think I skipped it once. Like it's amazing.
It is great. It is great. But with that said, that's been episode 143 of Between Nerds.
Holy shit, that's a lot of episodes.
Yeah. Nerd
Down.
Nerd down.
Welcome back to the Nerd Down with the Nerds Get Down. This is Aldo Mendez. This is Drew Elias here sitting by my side. Thank you, Thomas
Zapian.
Sabian, for joining us earlier in this episode. Thank you for our songs. We're going to be doing a lot of changes. We're closer to you now, so you can feel closer to us now.
And if you guys have any recommendations, let us know. If you prefer like the previous angle, if you prefer this angle, whatever you guys want. Like it's y'all's podcast. It's not even ours.
Also, your recommendations as well. Follow us on YouTube. Comment on YouTube if you are a subscriber on YouTube, and we are allowed to see that. And you comment something cool, something in retrospective into our episodes.
Yeah.
Then we can put you into our giveaway.
Absolutely. So like even if you guys aren't on YouTube, if you are a listener on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora blew up this week for
Audible?
whatever reason. We're up 50%. Yeah, not Audible, but Amazon Music. We are officially on this week for whatever reason.
Yes.
And Deezer, whatever, what have you. If you guys leave a positive review, if you guys leave a positive suggestion, whatever your platform allows in terms of like saying that you like our podcast, if you take a screenshot or whatever and then email us at betweennerdspodcast@gmail.com letting us know that you gave us that positive review, then you're also entered into the monthly giveaway.
Also, we might, like, we're doing a giveaway every month, right?
Right.
You know, we might want to give a giveaway preview to our listeners, maybe to get more involved. That's one of the points that I forgot
To entice them?
I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. I'm not opposed to it.
You know? Or maybe not a preview of the thing that they will win, but maybe the things they might win.
Right.
But yeah, so please do all those things that we like, as you know, like, comment, subscribe in every platform you listen to. YouTube obviously will be the most
It's our priority right
now. Yeah, and Between Nerds, Nerd Down.
Nerd Down. I guess like our main point that we haven't gotten around to is talking about Guardians of the Galaxy, because we talk about every Marvel entry, and we just haven't gotten around to Guardians of the Galaxy as of yet.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was great.
I didn't like it as much as I think everyone else liked it, and I don't know why.
I think that opposed to everything that we've seen up to this point before Guardians of the Galaxy 3, you have given me this ripe to me. It's like, you're liking everything. Why are you liking everything that comes out? Aldo, why are you so positive about these projects?
Okay.
Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I like them because I'm a nerd, and I got into comics before I got into anime. Like, comics, superhero stuff,
Right.
American superheroes.
Right.
Are my bread and butter.
Yeah.
And I like seeing these heroes in action and stuff like that. But we can both agree, I'm not gonna be biased about it, but yeah, some of this stuff is being lacking of like substance.
Well, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is being rated like best Marvel in like couple years. You know what I mean? Since like Endgame, something like that. My thing is, it feels like too much of the same, and like, I know this shouldn't matter. I know that this is a minor gripe for most people, but like the physics and like the actual like for somebody to just be in the void of space for several minutes and not having their eyes bulge out of their face immediately just upsets me to no end. And I know it shouldn't. I know it's that to some people that's super minor and like it doesn't matter. And it's like, oh, but like he turned icicle-y and like he got like, no, the void, there's no pressure in space. The second you enter space, like me in an atmosphere, in Earth's atmosphere right now, the pressure is keeping my organs inside of me.
You know what I remind myself of, like, when I see those instances? Is like that interview with Mark Hamill about I think it was episode 5. He's like, hey, George Lucas, I was just in the water. Doesn't mean that for this scene, like, I'm supposed to be wet. It's like, and then he's like, kid, if people are noticing your hair, like, we're in big trouble. Everybody's in big trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Kind of thing. So, yes. I know what your gripe is.
Yeah.
But then again, in whole picture kind of thing, it doesn't...
Like, and don't get me wrong. Like the hallway fight scene might be the best action we've had since Endgame, like bar none.
Hey, Marvel's been sticking to their hallway scenes.
But see, then what scares me about that is this is James Gunn's last movie before he officially takes over DC, and it's just like, do we have any other high profile names? Like, I'm not even one of those people that's like, oh, this director needs to direct this movie or else it's not going to be good. But, like, Patty Jenkins's last superhero movies didn't hit. Taika Waititi's last MCU movie didn't hit. And now James Gunn's officially gone from the MCU, like, contractually permanently. I'm a little scared. No, just because, like, I'm excited for the Marvels movie because, like, we got some previews for the Marvels, and like that's kind of associated with Guardians of the Galaxy because it's like space Marvel stuff. You know what I mean? And but all the directorial production talent is gone from the MCU, and I'm a little scared.
As far as for audience goes, and as us as audience for the Marvel universe,
right?
We also have to keep in mind that this is not for us anymore.
You don't think so?
It's Disney. It's they trying to move in with the times. They're trying to do a lot of quirky things that we might see like cheesy and stuff like that. But it is obviously not targeted to the same audience that was when you saw Iron Man or the first Thor or the first, Guardians of the Galaxy. When the Guardians of the Galaxy came out,
are kids excited for the Marvels though?
No. I don't think they are.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think they are. But then again, it shouldn't be our proper, like, there was that joke on the internet with Martin Scorsese being like, superhero movies is not theater anymore. It's not movies anymore. And it's not. And we shouldn't see it as the epitome of cinema.
Right.
But as reach to me is my interest as a child.
Okay. Okay.
Like the Spider-Man game for Sony, like the
right.
PS5.
The PlayStation Showcase happened this week.
Doesn't that blow your mind?
I thought it was pretty cool. I didn't even play Spider-Man 1. I haven't played any of the PlayStation like Spider-Man games since like I was a kid. Like I haven't played the Spider-Man game since like PS2.
They have a Black Cat.
Yeah, you do that. Like when I bought that Black Cat like volume, and you were like, "Oh well, PS4 Spider-Man has a DLC that's all Black Cat." I was like, "Ooh, ooh!" Now I'm interested. Now you've caught my attention.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't have a whole lot to say about Guardians of the Galaxy. I guess it just kind of like it's a nice send off, but then we don't know if like the end credit scenes are going to be the actual finale because like now a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy is actually Gunn's brother, so he might be leaving the studio with James Gunn. And like that's my thing is like I know you weren't as big a fan as the MCU being as enthralling and like having so many shows you had to keep up with and movies, and like they're trying to scale it back so that they can like keep production on the high profile releases. So like the quality of those releases are higher. But like I kind of miss the MCU being so involved already.
I get that you're scared about James Gunn leaving.
Dude, he's really good.
No, but like the thing is that when he had Guardians of the Galaxy 1, nobody batted an eye. You know what I'm saying about his involvement, and then
it was the third best MCU movie that year.
And then 2 came out, and like again, nobody really batted an eye until he got fired by Disney, and he got troubles, and he's like, you know what, I'm just gonna do this last one because I'm getting this deal with DC. Don't get me wrong, as far as Kevin Feige is concerned, he is in charge of getting good directors to direct his movies the way he seems fit to the MCU, right?
Because he's the lead producer for all of the MCU. Right.
So then James Gunn leaving, I get it. It's bad, but it should also not be the anchor of
it shouldn't be a crutch.
It shouldn't be a crutch for the production of the MCU, because a lot of people, a lot of nerds, they're like, the Zack Snyder version, the Zack Snyder version, the Zack Snyder version. Like, don't get me wrong, I get it. If DC Warner Brothers would have given Zack Snyder the encouragement that he could have been maybe something like Kevin Feige, maybe that would have been a good thing. But he was not. He was just a director for a set of movies that flopped, unfortunately, and he could have done a lot better without the studio's interference in it. You know what I'm saying? But like him leaving, it just like in Spider-Man No Way Home. Okay. If you're nothing with the suit, then you don't deserve the suit.
Hey, that's a good one, to be honest.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So, like, really, Kevin Feige, is everybody going to be afraid that you're putting out movies without James Gunn? Then that's a problem.
No, that's true, too. You don't want to rely on what... And, like, I heard Taika Waititi's going to be directing a new Star Wars movie?
I think so.
I don't know how I feel about that, because he's, like, his
Love and Thunder was... I watched it at a guild almost.
That's what I mean. Like his attention seems all over the place a little bit. Like, do I want that? And it's, speaking of Star Wars, not only that, it seems like Disney's just kind of lost, because like they're switching CEOs. They're going back to Bob Iger. Okay, Bob Iger got like rehired late last year, and he's still transitioning because they still had like year-long contingency plans and like production plans for all these movies,
whatever
and films
DeSantis is doing,
right? Whatever DeSantis is doing, exactly.
Yeah.
But like, because they're in this weird transition period, going back to Bob Iger, even the Knights of the Old Republic remake seems like it might get scrapped. Like, Knights of the Old Republic, that series is probably the best Star Wars games ever, besides maybe Battlefront. But, like, story-wise, it's Knights of the Old Republic, right? And, like, Final Fantasy VII happened, and it's called a remake, but it's not a remake. They redid the whole game. It's the same story, but the combat system's different. The characters are different. Everything's different. Except the plot, right? Like, that's the only thing keeping it together. Like, even the whole engine's different. Like, it's not a remake. It's they literally made a new game but copied the plot. That's what they wanted to do with Knights of the Old Republic, which is exciting because that's like the best story, but like the gameplay's dated as fuck because it's 20 years old. But now that it's being scrapped because Disney and LucasArts can't keep their shit together, I don't know what's going on anymore. Like, Disney is in, like, this weird tailspin all of a sudden the past, like, 2 or 3 months, and I don't know where it came from.
I don't know, dude. I don't know, but what James Gunn showed in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is that he can definitely tie a ribbon around this whole story.
Yeah, and like, this would... I know I shouldn't be excited about supporting Ezra Miller, but, like, the Flash movie... and, like, it being a Flashpoint, like, adaptation. And, like, James Gunn, like, redoing the entire DCEU, but still being like, no, the Flash is it. So, you do not understand.
And I'm glad that you brought that up. Because even though that it wasn't James Gunn's project, but now that he's in charge, he's like, no, we're rolling with this. Because this is going to help me give a segue to the audience into like our next story, right? Because I'm pretty sure Ezra Miller is not coming back.
He said the first thing he's gonna do is a Batman, right?
I don't know.
Yeah. It's like it's one of the Batman stories.
So I like that James Gunn pointed out now that he's with DC, So Marvel calls it the multiverse, and they tell different stories and stuff like that. DC they came up with the same thing. DC came out with a multiverse, but they call it Elseworlds.
Right.
Right. So not only are they keeping Reeves' version of the Batman, but they're keeping it as a standalone Elseworlds.
It's its own
version.
Universe. Yeah.
And that's absolutely
just like how the MCU does.
That's absolutely the way that these movies should be going, bro. Because
hold on, just so I can fact check myself. James Gunn's next movie, written by him, is Superman Legacy.
Legacy, yes.
And then he's going to do The Authority, and then it's Batman: The Brave and the Bold.
Right.
I said Batman first.
Batman: The Brave and the Bold. It is an awesome children's cartoon on DC, bro.
What is that one with his son?
The Brave and the Bold? No, it's not.
No,
I don't think so. I think this is.
It's not with that Robin.
No, but I think The Brave and the Bold actually is gonna entail more involvement from other superheroes instead of just being like a Batman thing.
Okay.
Like instead of being him in Gotham and that, maybe Batman Beyond. From the title, it seems like it's gonna be more open worldy instead of just Batman in Gotham and the Joker thing.
All right.
I
know this isn't even related, but you brought up open world. And, like, I've been thinking a lot about, like, where the Legend of Zelda series is right now, just because Tears of the Kingdom came out.
It's the same game.
And it's super... It's not only is it the same game, but, like, they added all these new, like, powers and skills and, like... So, the joke about 100%ing Breath of the Wild is, like, the part that takes the longest is the Koroks, right? Because you got, like, all these just random locations that you just have to stumble upon and,
you
like...
get shit for it.
Yeah, and just because, like, that's, like, the stupidest part of the game. And, like, I went to a Yu-Gi-Oh! Regional yesterday, and on the way back, this guy, Sam, was talking about how that doesn't make for a good game, that it's time-consuming. You know what I mean? Like, it should be the gameplay that keeps you enthralled and wanting to come back, not the completionist aspect that's like, oh, you don't understand, I gotta go to this one corner of the map to go find this one Korok seed, and that means I'm gonna 100% it. And then, but Tears of the Kingdom adds all these new powers, and you're allowed to be creative, but it still has all these aspects that are just like old school, like 90s, early 2000s MMO, where it's just like you're just grinding for materials, and that's not fun, you know what I mean? So like, to get to 100% the battery, you need 675 large zonite pieces. If you're not cheating, that would take you 20, 30 hours of in-game gameplay to actually complete. And you're telling me that that's fun for you?
A lot of people gave a lot of shit to Destiny. The only reason I stepped away from Destiny is because, like, I was having a kid, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a new father. Like, I don't know what the fuck is going on, you know what I'm saying? And Destiny is something that not only you have to get materials, but it's almost fun because, like, PvP, you get some sort of materials to do something that in PvE is, right? So
because it's an MMO,
yeah, and then, but like the most of the time that you spend there was playing the game to the opportunity of getting something better, right?
Right.
But you are playing the game. You are getting better at the game. You're jumping around using different abilities to your advantage, and that feels good. And a lot of people I don't know why a lot of people like hated Destiny, but like it is a good pace of play that you're doing as far as like grinding. Yeah, you can sit there and you can be a ogre about it and be like, oh, I'm just playing this fucking thing so I can get this and that. It's like, yeah, that's the fun of it.
Yeah.
You know? Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, and also I haven't played it, being the same as Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild, I'm not the type to look at videos. I'm not the type of people to be looking at trends of like glitches and farms and stuff like that, because I don't know. I always play a game just blindfolded. That's what I like to do. I don't like to think that I need to do more than what I'm fucking doing already.
Yeah,
I guess. And, like, doing all those things, like, honestly, I wanted to buy Tears of the Kingdom so bad, but kind of don't want to anymore.
What I do like about Tears of the Kingdom is it's better than like Hogwarts Legacy about like distracting you. So you'll be like,
You
okay,
told me that.
so it'll be like, okay, you got to go west to the what are the stupid birds called from Breath of the Wild? You got to go to the stupid bird village. It's the same bird village. So you get everywhere at the beginning of the game is just like, go to the bird village, go to the bird village, and you go to the bird village. But on the way, you get distracted so often, which is nice. Like that's what you want. Like you want to stumble upon a stable and be like, oh my god, did you see Zelda's horse was spotted north? You should go get it. And then you go north, but then like you find like a puzzle labyrinth thing, and then inside of the puzzle labyrinth, it sends you to the sky, and then in the sky you jump like 10 times, and then you're into the depths, and then in the depths like you like it's cool,
And then you finish that, and then you're like, oh shit, Zelda's horse. And
yeah,
then you go back to Zelda's
exactly.
horse. Yeah.
It's so cool being distracted because, like, in Hogwarts Legacy, everything is marked on the map flat out, and that's not fun because, like, at least in Tears of the Kingdom, when you get launched into the air, you get to like pull out the map and be like, okay, like there's a shrine, there's another tower, okay, and then like you have all these different objectives, and it's cool to get distracted by your objectives because in Elden Ring, I'm just comparing them all because they're all just open world, third person fighting RPGs, right? Even though in game they're very different, but like in Elden Ring, it's kind of like you're given so little direction, so few direction that like it's so hard to go into what you're talking about and just go into it blind. Because like in Elden Ring, there's like 1,000,001 spots where you're just like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing right now.
I get the sentiment because I didn't think about Elden Ring, but yeah, you have given the same grab about Elden Ring. Not the same grab. I feel that when you tell me like, dude, I just have to look this shit up. Like I don't wanna deal with anything else. I'm like,
I'm gonna spend 10 hours figuring it out.
In my head, I'm like why wouldn't you want to figure shit out? Like, you know what I'm saying? But then again, if I think about it in the same terms that I'm thinking like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, I would never finish Elden Ring.
Right.
You know, because I would just be fucking around and not doing anything.
Right.
Maybe at one point I'll just start looking it up and do it. Middle of the Gear is what got me into playing like things blindfolded because I didn't know English, so I had to figure out what was going on without reading captions and shit like that. But talking about like the fans of Zelda, do you lack the game dynamic of like the dungeons and shit like that? Because I do.
Okay.
Like once you told me Tears of the Kingdom was the same as Breath of the Wild, I was like, oh no.
Okay, here's the thing, and I'll come back to you in a week or two and discuss this further. But like, I don't know what the dungeons are like in Tears of the Kingdom because like all I've been doing is like,
well, there's none. That's the issue.
No, there might be. Everyone has been saying, all the reviews are saying, everything on the internet saying the dungeons are better. Because remember, there were small dungeons in Breath of the Wild.
Well, in Breath of the Wild, they were
like micro dungeons.
Yeah, but they were like mini games. They were not.
They
were not a dungeon.
Everyone's saying in Tears of the Kingdom they're better. I haven't met one yet because all I've been doing is I'm just duping random shit and just maxing out my stats, and I'm trying to fill out the map. I haven't hit like any of that yet. So maybe I'll get to that soon. And like I don't want to talk down on it, but yeah, my biggest thing about Breath of the Wild, like we're coming back from the regional last night, and somebody asked me in the car, like, what was my favorite Zelda games? And I said the Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons series, like, on the Game Boy Color, because the dungeons felt like dungeons. Like, it's like what I'm talking about in, like, Jedi Fallen Order, where it's like, you enter a dungeon, oh, you can't enter half the dungeon because you don't have that power yet, and then you get that power, and you're just like, oh, shit, this is awesome. I've unlocked so much.
And then you can go back to the first part of the dungeon, and then go to the second part of the dungeon.
And then you need to use that new power to beat the boss and the mini-boss, because, like, that's what it's like in, like, Ocarina of Time. It's like, once you unlock the bow, it's like, now I need to use this bow to defeat the boss. But, like, that's not what Zelda is anymore, and that makes me kind of sad, because it's kind of just like...
It does, too, and I feel like it makes a lot of fans sad. Like, don't get me wrong, like, it is good. It is good, a good open world, and I would have expected Pokemon to come out with something like this before Zelda did.
Yeah.
But... like Zelda Breath of the Wild and Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, I want to play them, but I feel like I've been talked out of
You should play Tears of the Kingdom. I'm not saying it's not a bad game. Like it's like I
'cause
feel like I lose track of time better than I did than even like Elden Ring, because it's like I'm saying, you get distracted by 5 different things just trying to accomplish this one minor task.
There's in Metal Gear, which is I'm excited to get a PS5 for the remastered the first one, second, and third one. It only has like 3 different aspects to the game. Either you can do it by killing people left and right. You can do it by being caught, like by being noticed and have the alarm rung on you, then hide and then have the alarm being disabled and shit like that. Or you can do it completely quietly. Like that's the only differences to the game, but it takes different routes to follow one of those paths.
Right.
You know, and I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that.
I see your point. I see your point a lot, and like I think it's interesting you brought up Pokemon, because like something I was complaining about comparing Nintendo and like Pokemon and Super Smash Brothers to like Konami's how Konami treats Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that like in the middle of like a really big Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship series in Philadelphia this weekend, which is like 2,000 something people, we got a ban list, which which the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community has been asking for weeks. Not even because like you want your best deck banned, not even because like you need balance to the game, just because like it's hard to plan ahead of time if you don't know what the format is.
I think that triggers like compulsive buying, like leaving it at the end.
But it's not even that. I see your point. Like that, maybe that's why Konami does that. But like Magic: The Gathering and Wizards of the Coast is so transparent with their community. They'll be like,
as soon as it bans, it's banned.
Right, and they'll give an explanation. Like in standard format, if something's banned, they'll be like, "Look, we fucked up in designing this card, and it's too broken, and like it's completely overtaking the meta, and like we're sorry." Konami's just like they don't explain shit, bro. We don't even like in the OCG in the eastern regions, at least they get a specific date and a live stream where they will discuss the ban list. They will be like, this card is at 1 because it's completely over dominating games, but we see it as a necessary part of the game. We're taking this card from 3 copies to 2 copies because when it's too consistent, it completely hurts gameplay for every other deck. Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG in like the Western audience, they don't care. They're just like, it's almost like they wish it was an entirely casual audience that they could just sell Blue Eyes and Dark Magician cards to. And it sucks because it's like I'm at this regional, it's hard for me to be excited because like I'm topping, I'm getting like my 6th invite for this season, and it's just like Konami just decided to kill my deck because I don't know. They literally didn't tell me.
And I guess back to Metal Gear fans, for Metal Gear 4, they were already having problems with Kojima. And Metal Gear 4 was such a good game, at least for a fan. Like it's amazing game. It brings what the second brought to the table, but better. You know what I'm saying? Like the third one was a flashback story, but like that's what I'm saying. Like after 3 and being the sequel to the second one, like it just brought all those elements into something new, but then it also had like microtransactions and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So having the release of Metal Gear 3 or V as they're calling it, you know what I'm saying? Like I know it's gonna be a remake of the third one, which Kojima was still like involved in, but I know it's gonna be a remake of the 5th one. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? As far as the mechanics go, because they didn't let Kojima end the story. Just like the same thing that happened with Zack Snyder, you know, like they kicked him out after his daughter like committed suicide and shit like that, and they kept him away. It's the same thing. So I don't think I'm gonna get that game because they're gonna remaster the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So I'd rather just play the 3rd if it's gonna be the same story.
Right.
Yeah.
Crazy. Video games are crazy. Business is crazy. And like we're just talking about, it's just people being cutthroat when it comes to producing things that we actually like.
And the Kojima thing, like I can see why Kojima's being a dick, because they've been dicks to everybody, bro.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Who is it? It's Konami?
Oh. No, wait. You were talking about Konami, right?
No. Metal Gear is...
Yeah, Konami.
It is Konami.
Yeah, it's Konami.
God, I fucking hate Konami.
Yeah.
Don't ban me, Konami. I'm fucking begging you. But, like, I hate you so much. I hate you
You
so
can't
much.
ban me. You can't ban me. But I think that's the end of the...
Hold on.
Okay,
before the sign-off, giveaway from April. It's Mr. Jaeger Bombastic, who commented, amazing episode, crying, laughing emoji face on our episode 139, Chainsaw Man, slicing through the hype. Appreciate you, bro. We will be reaching out to you. Just reply to us or email us at betweennerdspodcast@gmail.com to get your giveaway. And tell us what you like. Tell us your favorite nerd opinions, and your favorite nerd IP, your favorite nerd intellectual property, and we will get you related to that.
Yes.
So let us know.
Thank you.
This is Drew Philip Elias. That's Aldo Mendez at the other end of the table. This was episode 143.
143 Link Click. This has been Between
Nerds. Thanks for watching Between Nerds podcast. Somewhere on the screen is a link to our most recent episode. Somewhere else on the screen is a link to a body of clips that you all should watch. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.